behind the scenes with future country rock blues kings and queens. Discover them first with Palm Bash TV. Palm Bash TV.
Well, hello there. It's Palm Bash TV time again. Thank you so much for joining us. Another great interview is lined up in just a moment, but before we begin, if you haven't done so, click that subscribe button and the bell. And anytime you do that, you'll be notified of any new episodes coming your way. And leave a comment on the comment section below if you like. We'd love to hear from you there. And as always, remember to pay attention to the description part, as well as the closing credits at the end of the show, because we'll have contact info for you there, so stay tuned for that. From Tampa, Florida today, we have Rich Allen. He's an awesome artist as always, and I think you're going to enjoy this artist. And we're going to get to that in a second, but first there's another quick word from the Caden Gordon Show, so don't go away. We'll be right back right after this.
It is Caden from the Caden Gordon Show, today's best country mix. Check out my show at thecadengordonshow.com.
Okay, we're back, and with us from Tampa, Florida, we have Rich Allen with us today. Thanks for joining us, Rich.
Hey, thank you, Paul, for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you here today. Excuse me. Well, why don't you tell us a little story about why you decided you wanted to become an artist? I mean, I'm sure you always wanted to be one since you were little. Maybe you didn't even think about being a musician until years later. I mean, everybody has their own story, though. Let's hear your story.
Well, you know, the first time I thought I wanted to be a little rock and roll star, I was probably 7 years old, and I remember being in the family room in our house, and Tommy James and the Shondells song Crimson and Clover came on, and I remember jumping up on the picnic table and pretending I was singing it. And so that was kind of like the first inkling. But then, you know, I played keyboards in a high school band, and then a little bit in my early 20s. But then I just kind of dug in and went into the real world, you know, in order to have a career and provide for my family. So when COVID came around, I started to seriously get more involved in it. I had some extra time, and that's when I started to get pretty serious about it. So I cut an album. I went to Nashville and cut an album with a good friend of mine. I wrote 6 songs. I cut them, and that was kind of the first time I started to release music. Since then, I think I have over about 30 songs released. I'm currently working on a new album for next year. The working title is The Ghosts We Keep. And I have a single coming out on August 8th called Broken Love Song. So I'm trying to stay active in the music business. I love being a recording artist. I love performing. It's a perfect way for me to spend my retirement, if you will. I retired, you know, right a little bit after COVID, and this is all I do. I also have a songwriter's blog. I write about different articles and different nuggets that can help other singer-songwriters, giving them some of the little nuggets and things that I found along the way, as far as tips on promoting, even tips on songwriting. I enjoy it. I like to keep active, and if I'm not playing guitar, piano, and writing songs, I'm usually writing my blog, or I'm working in the garden or cooking in the kitchen. I'm kind of a well-rounded guy, and I like to keep busy. So all of this is it comes together to the music complements everything, if you will, complements everything else in my life and the way I approach life. And it's, to me, it's one of the greatest joys. It really does. Nothing's more satisfying for me than going and performing a set of my original music it's a validation of the hard work that I put in. And as songwriters, we're very transparent. We have to be in our songwriting, so we kind of put ourselves out there. So when you see people react in a positive way, it kind of validates it. Like, yeah, this is awesome. I'm going to push forward, and I'm on the right path because people are digging it. People are relating.
Hmm. Yeah, that's quite a story there, and I'm sure you'll have a number of years left in you. Um,
I hope so.
now,
Yeah, God willing.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said God willing. Yes.
Okay. um, well, what I was getting ready to say is you mentioned Tommy James and the Shondells. Would they be one of your influences, and did you have any others you wanted to share with us?
Oh, to be honest with you, my real influence lyrically would be Adam Duritz from the Counting Crows.
Mm,
I like the way he writes, but let's just go right back to the beginning. Nobody changed the lyric writing for singer-songwriters more than Bob Dylan and Joni Mitchell. So both of those artists are huge influences to me. I love the way that they are able to tell their story and break it down to the core of it, so you can really see the true human existence in their work. And so I aspire to write that way. I aspire to write with that kind of depth, um, and insightful lyrics. And so I would say that they're the two biggest. Now, musically, I've always been a Grateful Dead fan, but I've also been a huge country fan of so many country artists. And I'm going to go old school, way back to bands like Poco, bands like the Eagles, which are still kind of relevant and touring a little bit. But all those bands, nobody like the harmonies and the things that those bands produce. And then when you look at some of the harder bands that I grew up listening to, Metallica, or God rest his soul, Ozzy Osbourne,
hmm
those bands. I believe, like, I take a little bit of everything. And if you like music, you like music. So you listen to it, and if it strikes a chord with you, you kind of want to mimic it, because or not rip off the lick, but when I'm saying mimic it, you want to aspire to make music that sounds like them. And what happens is the song kind of takes off on its own, so it ends up being you anyway. But as the reference track, you might say, "Hey, I want to write a song that sounds like this," and then so you work to that sound. But in the end, it's your own melody, it's your own rhythm, because the song kind of grows out of what you originally started with. For me as a songwriter, there's some songs I can sit down and write in 10 minutes, and there's other songs that take months, and they kind of have to simmer and cook, so to speak. And you listen back to them and you say, is that the best line? Is that the best lyric? Or is that the best part in the song and the best arrangement for when the bridge hits? Or is the bridge really powerful? Is it making enough statement that it validates the song? So there's all those things that go on with, and where do you learn that? You learn that from listening to other artists who have already been successful.
mm
So you say what they do, and you say, hey, I look at when you look at the Beatles, there's probably nothing um, that they didn't experiment with. It's a full plethora of sounds and techniques and styles. And so that's the beautiful thing about music, my friend, is it's wide open.
mm.
It's open to interpretation.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of great bands you mentioned there. You mentioned Ozzy and the Eagles. Adam Duritz. They're all great at what they do, and I can see a lot of that in your sounds too. Um, Well, tell everybody about how we can find more about you. I mean, you can also include your blog you just mentioned too, but are you on social media,
Yeah.
streaming media? You have an official website, so forth. Just tell everybody about it.
Well, I do have an official website. It's called richallenmusic.com. But I also have um, I'm sorry about that. Um, my apologies. There was somebody at the door. I also have a blog. It's called indieresidentvoice.com.
Mhm.
And there I'm also very active on social media. I have a Bandcamp page. Of course, I'm on Spotify, Apple, and all the streaming platforms. Um, um, so my music's out there, and I try to constantly, you know, release things. I don't like to release things until they're ready. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. I'm very fortunate that I have an audio engineer, a mixing engineer, a mastering engineer who does an amazing job with my tracks when I send them the stems. Most of the time, I record everything in my house, and then except for the lead vocals and the background vocals, I'll cut them in a studio because they have the $5,000-$10,000 microphones that I don't have. But as far as all the other, bells and whistles, I can mic my amp and record my guitars, or my piano or keyboards. All that stuff comes together. So and that's the beauty too of being a musician today. You can do it from your bedroom if you want, and release music. So yeah,
Oh,
it's awesome.
all right. Well, check them out, as you said, in all those places and all the streaming sites, social media, and the official website you mentioned. I mean, I know he would love you for that. And the song we're getting ready to play in just a moment or so is called "No Pinks." That's an interesting title to the song. I'm sure there's quite a story behind this song.
Yeah, there is no pinks, and I actually wrote some notes down because I'm old and forgetful sometimes. But no pinks. The word I used the title to kind of set a visual landscape, and um, no pinks, no blues. It kind of the song addresses loss and grieving, and it also encapsulates a certain amount of forgiveness. I try to write songs that start off with a little bit of conflict, and then there's always some resolution with a little bit of hope in the end. And this song kind of goes through the motions of a conversation that didn't happen, and because of that, the the narrative of the song is basically uh, the person that the conversation didn't happen with suffers tremendous grieving and tremendous heartache. So, but in the end, offers forgiveness. So that's kind of what it's about. It's about the human condition. It's about relationships and lack of communication, having communication, and just realizing that life is constantly in flux. I guess that's the best way to say it.
Okay, well, that's good, and I think you people out there are going to love it just as much as I do. And we're going to get to that in 1 second. But before we do, Rich, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. We'd love to have you back if you got anything new to plug for us in the meantime.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Paul, and have a great evening. I appreciate you having me on the show, and I appreciate folks listening to my song. And please check out my website, richallenmusic.com. I appreciate
Okay.
it. Like, follow, comment.
All right. Without further ado, here it is, No Pinks by Rich Allen, and it begins right now.
no ribbon, no shoes, only what ifs and why nots of the things you never said, as if you forgot. No pinks, no blues, only regret speaks the truth. Left out of your thought process, it all happened way too fast. This would have completed our family. Maybe then our love would have lasted. This should have been our legacy, in place of smoke and ash. I paid my penance gracefully, but I can't forget about the past. No pinks, no blues, only regret speaks the truth. No pinks and no you, just a different kind of blue. We should have decided together on a different man. It's time to have this conversation, time to take off the past. You were lying in that clinic bed, I didn't understand all the things I should have said. I should have stayed and held your hand, but it was hard for me, for myself, just to let you know things could have been different for us before the child became a ghost. No pigs, no blues, only regrets speak the truth. No pigs and no you, just a different kind of blue. What if the flower wasn't mine? You should have let me know. What if the flower wasn't mine? Did you even know? What if the flower wasn't mine? Forgiveness still would flow. My love for you was unwavering. God save your soul. You should have let the flower grow. No pinks, no blues, no ribbons, no baby shoes. No pinks and no you,